What is up, Living End fans? I finally got my overlords, and so I'm going to try to play some Sultai Living End. I previously ran through about 2 leagues with the deck, and I did just absolutely terrible. Did you know this version of Overlord of the Baelmerk is like way cheaper than the other ones on Magic Online? Anyway, so what I've done to try to make the deck a little bit more consistent is I'm playing a lot of lands. I got 15 natty lands, I'm playing a troll, and I'm playing a Disciple of Freyalise in addition to the 4 Ents. What I found in my last couple of leagues was that really getting to 2 mana was not trivial, especially having black mana to cast Overlord. Besides that, I think this is pretty stock. Some people don't like Steam Core Scholar as much, but I think it's important if you're going to play Flare of Denial, which I only have one of. I don't like Halo Forager, but the 5th Cascade spell is important. Over here on the sideboard, I think it's pretty stock. I'm trying one Harbinger. I've also thought about trying one copy of Collector Ufi. Um, I like this card, Awaken the Honored Dead. It's a pretty good generalist card. It's good in most matchups, unless the opponent's very aggressive. And then besides that, it's just normal Living End stuff. I splurged on a Dismember. Anyway, let's get into the games. Okay, we're here round number 1. I plugged my mic in, so sorry if the intro was terrible quality. This is a good hand, and I'm going to keep. And right away we're up against Zoo, it looks like, Domain Zoo. The problem I had with this deck was, one, getting to 2 or 3 mana consistently, and then the other problem was not having enough Cascade spells. This hand's kind of a good example. We've got a lot of good stuff, but there's only 4 true Cascade spells in the deck. I know you can suspend Living End, but that's really not a good play. I've been playing this deck for a long time, and I've maybe won 5 games ever where that happened. So if you're a newer Living End player, even if you have black mana in your deck, suspending Living End is almost never a very good play. And opponent appears to be having mana issues. So I'm going to get the tap land here. I don't have a 2 mana play anyway. And if I make more mistakes than usual, just bear with me. Do I want to draw that? No, I don't think so. It kind of would be nice to get more Surveil lands, but also just binning it kind of accomplishes the same thing. Okay, what does opponent have here? I think I can pitch these Sink into Stupors. That is a creature on the stack. Opponent also knows about the cheap version of the Overlord. Yes, fun fact, Overlord is a creature on the stack. It cannot be force of negation. And Detective Phoenix is not a creature on the stack, so it can be. A little bit unintuitive. Now the question is, do I shock my land in? Oh, even better. Yeah, the answer is yeah. And then hopefully this turbocharges us here. Well, we're going to discard a force of negation. I don't think I need 3. But yeah, this is the problem. It's harder to get Cascade spells with Sultai. And really, by not having... Let's see, I don't have any... Once that resolves, it has hexproof, so unfortunately, I have to top that just to buy some time. If they play it again, that's fine with me. I'm assuming opponent top that because it's good on the board right now. And I think I'll just sink into Stupor if they cast it again. I'm really just trying to buy time. I guess worst case I could cast this Disciple, but you really don't want to cast this card. I will sink into Stupor the Scion. I cannot let it resolve because of the hexproof. And we Surveil. Double green. That's a castable spell, but it's terrible in the face of the Scion, which is a 4/4, and I just need to hit something. If we draw a natural lane, we can draw a bunch of cards. Another creature. Creature's power. Only 2 cards. That's not even that good. And now they have Stubborn Denial available. This deck plays Stubborn Denial main deck. And because of Scion having 4 power, Stubborn Denial is just... It's just 1 mana Force of Will. So I have 2 options here. I can Swamp Cycle and Surveil. Or... I can just play the Troll. I mean, maybe that's what I want to do. Can Tribal Flames... I'm going to look this up on my phone. Yeah, Tribal Flames can kill this, as can Leyline Binding. So I think instead what I want to do is Surveil, because this thing's never going to block. Or attack. Obviously it couldn't block, but... So I can Disciple next turn at the very worst. I'll keep that. It has lifelink and trample. So opponent gains 4 no matter what next turn. I'm not going to block. And what they'll probably do, they haven't been holding up white mana. So I don't think they have Leyline Binding. Now they have white mana. Well, all their lands are every color, so never mind. And hopefully they just cast something that we can force. Opponent chooses not to attack. That looked like a misclick. I don't know why you wouldn't attack with your Vigilance, Lifelink, Trample first strike. But to each their own. Sure, you can add more creatures to the battlefield. That's fine. I don't think that's what this game is about. And then we're pretty good now as long as they don't have double... what's it called? I almost called it Soul Spike. As long as they don't have double Stubborn Denial. I wanted to call it Force Spike because it's 1 mana. But I couldn't. I knew that wasn't in Modern, so I called it Soul Spike. But that's not the right card either. Alright, what is Bro doing? They could cast Consign with Replicate and get me. They do not. And I'm just going to counter this anyway because I have a play next turn now. Or it's just going to resolve. And we just heckin' win the game. I'm not going to top that because they don't have board wipes. They have Flage and they have, like, O-rings. No offense to space shuttles. Alright, I'm good with the stack resolving. So we'll just go ahead. I learned about this box recently. It's a lifesaver. If your life means about 1 minute per match on Magic Online. Okay. I'm thinking of getting a better microphone too. I know this one's not very good. And I've been doing some golf content. If you're watching this video right now, type in extra mid golf. Extra spelled just with an X. That's my golf channel. I'm going to try to grow that one. I've got some stuff filmed. It's just a little bit harder to put together than Magic Online content, obviously, because the Magic Online itself does most of the work. All I got to do is record it and jibber jabber and then upload the video. There's Leyline Binding. What are they going to take out here? The Troll? I think that's... Honestly, that's okay. I mean, so next turn I attack with both these. I don't have fantastic attacks, but they have even worse blocks. I mean, next turn I attack with all these. I'm going to force this because their deck is mostly creatures, so force is unlikely to get anything else. And the game is also likely to end next combat step on my turn. And I still have a 6 mana play next turn if something goes really wrong. I still have a 6 mana draw 7. No, draw 6. No. Yeah, draw 6. Opponent cycles Oliphant. It's too bad they couldn't do that pre-living end. They get Stomping Ground. Shout out to Gate Crash. That was my first real set. And I'm declaring myself the best Gate Crash drafter in the world because there's absolutely no way to prove that. All right, opponent realizes they're cooked. What do we want? Definitely want Funny Bee. I want Dismember. I'm going to try Harbinger. Dispute. Awaken as a disenchant. I don't think Endurance matters. Let's see, what else? On the draw, maybe Flare of Denial is just not going to be fast enough to save us from anything. And a Force of Negation, I think. Actually, I think I want to take out more. They have Ragavan. Maybe Harvester of Misery is good. Force of Negation is not very good because their main stuff, they're going to do it during Cascade when I don't have any mana and it's my turn. I'll try that. I'm a bit of an amateur, but I don't think the reason I was losing was because of bad sideboarding. I had just a bunch of really bad matchups, and I was mulliganing to 5 and getting stuck on 2 lands a lot. I played against the Song of Creation deck 2 rounds in a row, which I think is pretty bad for Living End. Oh, I need to take more stuff out. There we go. Okay, we've got 7 here that's not very good against a Ragavan start, but it's good against any kind of slower start. Alright, the opponent does not have a Ragavan start. Gonna lead on Watery Grave here. That allows me to cycle and play a tap land and cycle a Curator next turn. If that's what I want to do. Still gonna hold mana up. We could instead cycle a Curator. Actually, yeah, I like that better. To try to hit a Subtlety, but I don't need Subtlety anyway. I just like that better because I already have lands. And that way I can use this for 2 blue mana. Alright, let's just do this. Take out Foundation Breaker. I mean, take out Scion of Draco with Foundation Breaker, you know what I mean. And I've still got 2 fetch lands for my Harbinger of the Seas that I brought in. So we're still safe on that front. Hopefully opponent just plays another Scion of Draco, but I did take out my Endurances. So if these ever come back, that could be annoying. Not really, because Foundation Breaker, but they're an Endurance deck. That's something to be aware of. Our opponent discarded Endurance last game. Opponent has nothing on 3 mana. It looks like they have Leyline stuck in their hand. So for that reason, I'm just going to hold up mana and pass. If they played a Leyline here, would I even counter it? Would it be better to use Foundation Breaker? I think it'd be better to use Foundation Breaker. That way I can get a Surveil land. Okay, their final land was a Surveil land. Opponent has 5 non-land cards, and they didn't even have an untapped land. So their hand's loaded up with something. And now I am going to play around my spells. Boom. That was a real J for Genius move right there. All right. Now I cannot make black mana anymore. But I can get a Surveil land. Now, how does the living end favor me or my opponent? They have Scion. I have one, two, but here's the thing: they could have endurance. They can pitch cast it. They can't hard cast it. So I'm not going to go all in on a living end yet. I'd rather pressure them some more. They could float mana here and then take this out. I do just kind of want to get cards out of their hand, though, because my hand's not very good. I'm kind of okay with that. They weren't doing anything anyway. Now what are they going to do, like flage me? Yeah, maybe I should have kept the endurance in to deal with flage. I think I might have over-sideboarded. Now we're in a position where we can't live in end because of the threat of endurance. I mean, we could, but it's risky. Endurance is kind of a wild card to have in this deck. I don't see a ton of green cards. All right. Well, I don't think I want to play that yet. Next turn, I can Charlotte's Agent hold up a hardcast Mystical. So that's what I'll do. Could also just cast Street Wraith. I don't think that's the game I want to play right now. If fighting over the endurance fails, well, I'm going to lose the game anyway if that happens, unless I draw another Cascade spell. All right. Next turn's the turn. Wish me luck. It doesn't have to be, though. I could draw something better. More blue, I think, is always good. Don't need that. All right. Let's let her rip. We've passed the consigned to memory test. And opponent just had stone nothing. So we'll target Scion. Our food tokens resolve, and we still have Counterspell up, which we can cast through our own Harbinger. Yes, use the ability. I didn't use Street Wraith, but I didn't have to. Holding Street Wraith in your hand when you already have a huge graveyard that would easily kill the opponent, don't commit more to your graveyard than you have to, because you're just setting yourself up for an endurance blowout. And how it works is once we cast Living End, pass priority. If our opponent then also passes priority, we don't have a chance to cycle Street Wraith. So you have to decide before they do. Okay, hopefully opponent just realizes they're done for here. They could hard cast a Generous Ent. Nope. All right, want to know. Round number 2, this hand is pretty crappy. It doesn't do anything. It does have 2 Surveil lands, but even with these Surveil lands, we need to hit like a payoff spell plus put stuff in our graveyard. I think we can do better. That's a little better. This doesn't have the interaction, but at least put stuff in our graveyard. The last hand needed 2 things to work. This hand only needs 1 thing. And I'm going to put back... I only have 2 lands guaranteed right now. I'm going to put back a Generous Ent. I have 3 lands, plus 2 Street Wraiths. Alright, it's some sort of blue deck. Maybe Belcher, but Singing a Stupor is like the best modal double-face blue land, so this could really just be anything. Just play our Forest and pass. Maybe it's right to cycle a bunch there and see if we hit a better land. Yeah, opponent is probably playing Mill. Or just Frog, and they have terrible mana. Alright, well if that's the case, I'm going to look for a Subtlety. did not hit it. Go ahead and get the blue-black surveil land. Wait, I can't get that. That only works in paper. I will get the hedge maze. Blue is the best color, and we don't have any black spells. That's why I got that. I'm likely going to need double blue to bounce. Do I want that? I'm just going to graveyard that. They already have the frog in play. They don't usually commit more frogs to the board. Next turn, we can at least Steam Core with this Overgrown Tomb I'm going to fetch. They discard Fatal Push, so this just looks like a mid-rangey control deck. It does not look like Agorio's Vengeance deck. Agorio's Vengeance deck would have played a Fetch or a Shock by now. Yeah, just blue-black frog control. Here's Thoughtseize. I'm just going to Force Cycle now in case they actually take the int. That would be mildly annoying. So they're going to take Steam Core Scholar, in which case I think next turn what I want is to Surveil again. Although they know the coast is pretty much clear, they could also take Endurance. I didn't think about that hard enough. I should have gotten Overgrown Tomb because I can just cast Endurance. And even if they don't attack into it with Frog, or if they decide they're fine attacking into it with Frog, I'd probably cast it. Well, they have 2 lands here, so I'd probably cast it on their turn anyway. When your opponent taps out early in the game, I think it's smart to just Endurance on your turn to make sure it resolves. And I've actually noticed that Sultai Living End somehow seems worse against blue-black. I usually have no problem with blue-black when I'm playing Bant. And by no problem, I mean a decent win rate. I don't mean like I kill it every time. But I've just noticed we're actually like way more committed to the graveyard with this version of the deck. I'm going to actually play this Sporific Springs now and cast Steam Core. I can block for a turn with it. I can also, let's see, Force Negation is bad in this matchup. Can also just not block and Flare of Denial something. We'll see. Maybe I play this matchup too loose. They discard another land pre-combat. I think I will block. As long as I untap, I'll have Flare available. And like, yeah, this lets them tap out for something. I still have a basic force, though. This is not actually even the end of the world. It's actually fine. This doesn't even make my hand worse. I'm guessing this might do more damage to them than me. So I'm just going to cast the Curator. That at least slows down their attacks. I'm not going to block the frog yet. I think I will let them hit me. I'm not going to block this because next turn I can double block with 2 Curators. And they have to trigger Revolt to Fatal Push one of them. Alright, it would be painful if we lost this game where our opponent drew Fatal Push Spell Snare, which are terrible against me. How big is this dragon going to be? They had Fatal Push, Spell Snare. I think that was it. So it's going to be a 5/5. If that's the case, next turn if they attack with everybody, this will be 5, and then 6, and then that kills me, so I have to counter this. Be great if we could just draw a Living End, or a Cascade Spell, I mean. Okay. Do I have a better chance of winning this game if I cast Curator and try to block, or do I have a better chance by cycling? I think I have a better chance by cycling. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent has us. A little bit stinky. The Harbinger didn't even do anything. We just lost to our inability to draw our combo. And that's what I was talking about. All right, we're kind of spoiled for options here. I'm not going to bring Harbinger in against a Harbinger deck. That's redundant. Bring in Mystical. Take out the Force of Negations. Those aren't very good. I want this Member for the Frog. Harvester of Misery doesn't get the Frog. Waken the Honored Dead for the Frog. And I've been bringing in Ashiok a little bit too liberally. You really only want Ashiok to, like, cripple a combo deck. You don't want it just for general mid-range stuff. We'll try that. All right, our first Overlord of the league. That's a great hand, too. And I'm just going to save myself some life and play Hedge Maze. I really like these tap lands. Graveyard that. Because I can pick it up next turn with Overlord. And because this is a deck that plays Nile Spellbomb, I'm not going to use these Street Wraiths yet. I'm guaranteed to have a target for Overlord. Sure, Overgrown Tomb it is. My all-time favorite Magic card, I think, is Overgrown Tomb. I started playing right around this time period, and I always like green and black decks. And we'll pick it up Endurance would be good, but we're kind of the proverbial beat down here. Kind of hope opponent plays Frog. Okay. That just is what it is. They take the Cascade Spell. Now I think I will use these Street Wraiths to try to find another Overlord. So I know I gave a big speech about not using your Street Wraiths, but I would like to pick up another Overlord. Of course we did not. I can't hold up any interaction, so I'm going to go get another Surveil land. And I want the blue one. I'm actually going to top that. Well, no, shoot, I shouldn't have topped it because it's going into our... It's just going to get shuffled back in anyway. Maybe that's why I'm losing so much. Should have been that because I'm going to use this land for Generous Ent. I tend to play Magic a little bit too fast. I think it costs me. Well, the Frog is coming down. Let's go get the Mort. And hold up the sub. Opponent's just going to start hitting us and drawing cards. I think that's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but I think that's probably better than playing Curator. Shh. Sorry about the wait. My dog went crazy when she saw the neighbors walking peacefully down the sidewalk. All right, and the opponent doesn't give us anything. So unfortunately, I'm just going to use the generous end. That was a little bit of a lost turn there. I'll pick up the forest. Now we are maxed out. Oh, cycle 2 on an insurance against Harbinger of the Seas. Boom, there you go. I would like an endurance, I think. Definitely been in that. Oh, we froze the program. All right. And this is likely getting countered. But I mean, we got to start somewhere. And also, we got to end somewhere too. This game's probably going to end soon if this doesn't work out. There's the consign. We cannot do anything. Yeah, and I think Overlord of the Baelmer, I don't really think it's any better than Waker of Waves. This thing, yeah, it's nice when it counts down, but I mean, most 5 mana mythic rares are good if they sit and play for 7 turns. So I don't really think this thing counting down is like that great of an upside. This can't attack for 2 more turns. I'm going to be dead to Frog by then. And the opponent knows how to play Magic. They're not going to commit anything extra to the board because they don't need to. So I pretty much have to draw another Cascade spell here. And I've already drawn 2 of them. Yeah, there's only 2 left in my deck. Now I can play these subtleties as chump blockers, but that's bad value. I just want to know what's going on at the top of my deck right now. Dismember's not what we need. And now I'm just going to start sacrificing these subtleties to the Frog God. And by the way, if our opponent has a removal spell or a counter spell, oops. If our opponent has a removal spell or a counter spell, they could just dump their hand and kill us here. Okay. Before they can untap and have counterspell mana, I'm just going to cast Subtlety. And the reason I'm doing that, like I said, right now, only a removal spell gets rid of it once it resolves. But if I go into their turn and they have 3 mana and I cast it, then they have Mystical Dispute. Well, they could have had that anyway, but they have Counterspell. They have all Sink into Stupor, although that gets it anyway. But Counterspell is basically the thing I'm playing around. And if you think I'm just going to chump block your Frog, you're right. Like, see, look at that. We played 2 mana, drew a card, then 5 turns later, the opponent cast a removal spell. That's not that good. Alright, he's ditching cards before combat, which could only mean he's casting Counterspell. See, Counterspell, exactly. That means he's casting Murktide, I think. Or he just wants a smaller hand for when I chump block his creature. I mean, I would not get rid of Counterspell if you're winning by this much. Harbinger? Okay. Arguably good for me. Oh, and look, we can't cast Overlord because it's irresponsible to put Swamp on our deck. He might just also have extra copies of Counterspell, so I'm going to play this now. Yes, I know that's bad value if he puts a creature on the stack, but he's not going to put a creature on the stack before he attacks. And I don't think Preordain's good. I think you should play Thought Scour on these decks. I even think Opt would be better because it's competing with your Fatal Push. All right, moment of trut. Boom. Not going to attack. Then our opponent could chump block and get it back if for some reason Harbinger's good. And while the ghost of Harbinger sees crashes magic online, we will cascade. Yeah, our opponent has counterspell. That's a game. Thanks for playing. Opponent is on an Eldrazi strategy. If they sniff out that we're on living and they play Chalice on 0, we at least have force for it. Why does Eldrazi just get unlimited soul lands? Can anyone answer that for me? Alright, well, that's not that good, all things considered. I will cycle this. Okay. Graveyard. Now we're covered for a turn. I don't know if you can hear my dog panting in the background. We just got back from playing fetch. She's very exhausted. And I will line breaker this. I think I'm going to pitch Force of Negation. I don't see myself being able to use that card this game. Opponent's on a pretty unique deck here. Alright, that was a great draw. Overgrown Tomb. And let's see if Overlord can carry us to a free win. Use the ability. I'm going to return Subtlety, intending to pitch it again. And now I think we're pretty good to anything except... Let's see. Anything except Trinisphere. Or just like a disruptive non-creature. They bottoms the line breaker. Don't know what that is, but I'm not going to read it. No, I'm just kidding. I know what that is. Card does a lot of damage. No. Guys. Well, now I gotta dig for an answer. I don't think that's what I want to do. I think I just need to top deck something here. And like I said earlier, this Overlord, yeah, it was okay, but it's not going to be the deciding factor in the game. It's way too slow. I think the Sultai version is way too all in on the graveyard. With Bant in most games, I could take or leave the graveyard. It's nice to get free wins off of big living ends, but it's not necessary. Whereas with this deck, I feel like we're a little bit more all in on the graveyard. Yeah, they're sowing Micah Spawn. I hate this card. And see, they bog us. The graveyard's not a reliable resource in the modern format. Okay, that's reasonable. Hopefully we get a free block here. Nice, nice, nice. Not going to commit any crimes. And maybe Overlord will get us there if our opponent just has absolutely nothing to do. They counter their own Chalice of the Void. Pretty heads up play. I probably would have done the same thing. Well, I could suspend Living End. So I think that's what I'll do. I realize Chalice counters it, but these black cards on our hand are useless. And I'm not going to attack. That's not a good trade. Opponent continues to draw lands. They're a little flooded. I mean, more than a little flooded, but they can return Devourer to their hand. Because, you know, in Legacy, you have to pay 2 life or sacrifice your land to get 2 mana. But in Modern, you just have to temporarily commit a card that you get back later. Hedge Maze, not terrible. That lets us see a card deeper. The thing is, I don't even want Subtlety, because if I put Devourer back on top of their deck, they just get another trigger. Probably should have attacked there. But the reason I didn't is because if they can cast the Devourer next turn. 2, 3, 4, 5. So Soul Land here lets them cast it. Okay, now I'll start attacking with the Overlord. Let's just go to combat. Yes, I will take action. I think I'll take Subtlety. Now if they cast a different creature, I can do something about it. That might have been a mistake, though. That sees the fewest cards. Well, that sees less cards, I should say. We could have cycled again. There's a Sink into Stupor. That's pretty good. Okay. So that's what we needed to get through Chalice of the Void. What are they doing here? Probably a command. And once again, our graveyard goes away. Oh, the opponent wants to exile Endurance. Okay. That's actually great for me. So they're counting on their Chalice of the Void to prevent me from living ending. They don't even care about my graveyard anymore. Or they just have a huge spell, like an Emrakul. If they have an Emrakul, we're in trouble. Hopefully this is just that Devourer. Yes, perfect. Do I want to Subtlety this? No. It cannot deal lethal damage to me this turn. And they can't do something like play a Line Breaker and give it haste. They don't have any colored mana for that. Opponent refuses to attack. Bounce the Leyline. And the good news is, after the rules change, we don't have to cast this Living End anymore. but I want to because it was coming off suspended at the perfect time. But this game ended up hilariously well for us. On average, I don't think we win this game. Now, what are the odds that they have an Emrakul in their deck? I haven't seen one yet, so I'm not going to assume they do. And then we can adjust game 3 if it comes to that. Now, I'm speaking like I've won the game, but that is not the case. I'm going to eat my food token. Force negation is a good draw there. Saves us from all his dust. And I think we attack with everybody. I can subtlety and force of negation here, so we're pretty safe. All right, well, that was an undeserved win. Our opponent flooded out. I think I like Dismember. And I like Harvesters because they have the Flesh Raker. I like Honored Dead, Foundation Breaker. Do I want Harbinger? I don't even think Harbinger's that good. I'm going to resist the urge to bring in any more than that. I think Halo Forger's bad. They can fetch Bazooka Bog. I think on the draw, Curator can come out. Curator, Flare, Scholar, Curator. Well, that's a one-lander, but it's terrible. I'm going to go to 5 and just choose to believe that I'm going to get lucky. Put back these 2 cards. This is the kind of luck I was talking about. That's what I've been getting with this deck. Just an unclaimed territory for our opponent. And I don't think they quite know what's going on. They've missed a few combats. Now they play Grafdigger's Cage. I guess my ELO tanks so much that I'm playing people who are a little bit less familiar with the format. Now, I know that's not how Magic Online works, but I did lose a lot. Alright, I'll just be conservative for now. There's a possibility I luck sack into a Cascade early in the game, for which they have Kozilek's command, for which I have 2 Street Wraiths to reload my graveyard. That's possible. So for that reason, I will not use Street Wraith. I'm not going to even look for... Well, I'll look for Subtlety, but I'm not going to go digging with Street Wraiths for it. I don't think I even want to Subtlety that. Misty Rainforest was the perfect draw. It's not against the rules to get lucky. Oh my gosh. All right, now we just need... Let's see. I'll get green. I got green next turn. I'll get Watery Grave. I've got more double blue spells. I would rather that Fraley's be in my graveyard, but I'm being a kind of a choosing beggar there. Do I want Shardless Agent? Yes, that's an easy Shardless Agent. And everything's coming up Millhouse right now. Hopefully our opponent just taps out for some Eldrazi, and then we get to teach them a valuable lesson. Grafdigger's Cage is a great Magic card. You should play 4 of them in your sideboard. It really is good. I was playing some pre-Fire Modern with Merfolk, and Grafdigger's Cage shuts down Dredge shenanigans. It was quite fun for me, not for my opponent. Yeah, now opponent is holding up. Okay, so Cavern of Souls can only cast a creature of the chosen type. but it doesn't matter. So they have 3 colorless mana, so they can exile 1 card from my graveyard. Well, that couldn't have gone any better. All right. Given that they can exile 1 card from my graveyard or have Warping Wail, I'm going to cycle 1 Street Wraith now. I mean, they have no soul lands. I don't think they can really do anything. No, don't cast. Not yet. And we always had it the whole game. That was a great mold of 5. It was definitely aura boosted by our opponent having Grafdigger's Cage and no soul lands. I don't know. Is that what the kids say? Is this the Phantom Tax? Is this Pizza Tower? So I actually had a person play Grafdigger's Cage against me, and then with living on the stack counterspell it. So it's like they either realized mid-game or they just trusted me. Okay, very fair board state. If this was your first experience with Magic the Gathering, you might never play it again. But this would be one incredibly specific first experience with Magic the Gathering. My first experience with Magic the Gathering was a Tree Folk deck. So I'm actually pretty glad it's come full circle and I'm still playing a Tree Folk deck. Okay, opponent has saved that Eldrazi spawn, so it seems like they're banking on that single mana really doing something for them here. And after giving it a big hard think, our opponent concedes the match. On to round 4. Round number 4, we've kept a very modest hand of 7. Start with the cycle on this curator. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Hit F6. Don't want to do that. Unless I take the curator, then I probably would. Yeah. There's no reason not to cycle now. They take the Street Wraith, interesting enough. They just saved us 2 life. Okay, opponent has basic swamp, and it's a very specific swamp, so this looks like a swamp-heavy deck. My theory has always been you don't go out of your way to put really specific swamps in your deck, or any basic land, unless you're doing something kind of unique involving that color. Alright, there's Sky Turtle. Yeah, this is a mono black strategy of some sort. Bogart Bog. I don't want to overcommit to the graveyard because of that. Alright. Opponent has Thoughtseize again. Are they playing Death Shadow? They take the turtle and play another Goyf. Let's see what's going on. We do need to get blue here. I will top that. That's a good top. Never actually read this card. So it's Tarmogoyf power and toughness. No. Your graveyard. This one doesn't have lifelink. There's one of these that does have lifelink. I forget what it's called. Is it Necrogoyf? And this one's Nethergoyf. There's Pyrogoyf. I don't think I'm going to need this Boseiju, but it does have more utility than Overgrown Tomb, so I'll play the Overgrown Tomb. Alright. Opponent thought sees this twice, and then just got wrecked anyway on turn 3. Good stuff. Do I want Harvester of Misery? Also, how much do we care about the graveyard? I think I'm going to stick to my plan of not bringing in Ashiok unless they're just like a dedicated library search deck. Or a deck that like super duper needs its graveyard. Bring in Awaken, it's just a good removal spell. I think Dismember's good. They played that in Nethergoyf. And then usually these mono black decks have artifacts and enchantments. So I'll bring in the Foundation Breakers. They're Thoughtseize decks, so I'm going to take out Force of Negation. I think that's perfect. That'll be $15.99 for my sideboard guide. The Dogfish. I think that's the name of a beverage, Dogfish. Opponent Thought Seizes. No, don't concede the game. Never mind, they do the Dark Knight. Well, I don't like that card. This thing hits kind of hard. You lose that much life. I think I just want to slow them down. Bad as this feels, I don't have a Cascade spell in my hand, so it's not like I should save that for a Bogart Trawler. Yeah, we turn off Mox Amber for a turn as well. Okay, well, now I kind of wish we would have saved it. Although we're not guaranteed. What is this thing's power and toughness? Cecil. 2-3. Glad I didn't bring in the demon. Dalthy Voidwalker. That's another reason Overlord's not the best. Get Mortuary. That was a good hit. Unfortunately, I don't have any green cards. Otherwise, I might pitch the Endurance. So Dalthy shuts down your graveyard, but only once it enters play. It doesn't get your whole graveyard the way like a Tormod's Crypt would. Alright, so there's no reason to use Street Wraith because they'll just get it. So for that reason, I need the mana. Unfortunately, I'm going to take the Swamp. But because of Dalthy, those cards were exiled, and they have void counters on them. Oh, what a good hit that was, too. All these cards would have been great. Except for the extra copy of Charlotte's Agent. But even then, it's a Thoughtseize opponent, so that might be good, too. But at least this first Charlotte's Agent should wipe the board. There's some sort of trick they can do with Living End and Dalthy Voidwalker. I don't know if it's going to come up. Yeah, I think it's if Dalthy enters from their graveyard, they then get that Living End, because Living End's still on the stack when it enters the graveyard, and then it goes to the graveyard once it's done resolving. Alright. Try to avoid the temptation to scoop. We have another non-attacking opponent. Is that not good with Cecil? No, it doesn't matter. Ooh, Sky Turtle. Let's go get Watery Grave. Do I want to Sky Turtle? No. The timing doesn't work out on that. Never mind, no watery grave, just Undercity Sewer. Undercity Sewer and dodge the Thoughtseize. I guess I'll keep this because something that could play out is we live in the next turn and then they have Damnation. I don't know, is that good? I'm actually going to graveyard that. I don't think that card matters anymore. Okay. Well, darn, I didn't play around the extirpate that they could have done at any point in time during this turn. That stinks. Still, a board wipe next turn is good, if it happens. I can always Endurance too, if I need to for some reason. Were they not attacking because they knew about Endurance and they don't realize that this has Shadow? Does Endurance have Shadow? No. That'd be kind of cool if it did. What if that was the theme of a set? They just pick a random keyword and just put them on cards for no reason. That would be so hard to play. Your opponent just has like a 2/1 black creature with reach. That probably wouldn't be fun at all. They're still not attacking. Leave in my comments what's going on. Is this mana that important? No, they don't need it. This isn't a Springleaf Drum. They don't need to tap the creature. Oh, they want to leave up the sacrifice. So at any point in time, they can cast. Okay, they can cast Flare of Denial. That's what's going on. Okay. I'm the special one. They can cast Flare of Denial on Living End. So I'm at least going to just do this to get rid of Dothy Voidwalker. Yeah, Dothy Voidwalker, they can Flare of Denial. If that's what they want to do. Did they hit an Endurance with it? No, they did not hit an Endurance with it. Yeah, we knew about this. Now we can block, get back Charlotte's Agent with Sky Turtle, and Living End again. Granted, our graveyard's not very good at the moment. He should choose Flare of Denial, right? Oh, you don't have to cast it right then. Okay, so this resolves, and he's just going to cast like Generison, I guess, or Troll. Troll's probably better. Okay, Bogart Troll resolves. And they can do this all again. I guess I'll just put Charlotte on top. I don't think that was right. They just chose Endurance. Okay. I mean, I will be blocking anything I can. Well, just Bogart Trawler. Oops, I didn't block. It's okay, we can block again in the future. We can block when I bounce them, when I bounce this Voidwalker with the Sky Turtle. Tiny Bones? Okay, maybe I do need the Demon. Whenever Tiny Bones deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. So they do have to pay it. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty resigned to the fact that I've lost this game. But I'm still going to just keep playing, see if they make a mistake, maybe. Now they have to sacrifice Dothy Voidwalker right now. Probably Flare of Denial. And that's what I would do if I was them. They can also just Living End again. Yeah, that's the trick. Okay, and then do they have it? I realize that I'm not playing very well here, but I don't think I had a lot of good lines. I think I should have stuck to the plan and kept the Sky Turtle, actually. They just want subtlety? Okay. They still could have done that and topped it. They have 6 unblockable damage currently. I cannot take any more damage. They can also Living End anytime they want. Bogart Trawler to the graveyard was a big deal. Have to block anything I can here. It just deals damage, it's not even to a player. Okay, well at least I can get rid of that maybe. I guess I just play the subtlety. Bounce Dothy Voidwalker. They sack it. They can cast the turtle. Oh, I don't have any more living ends. Alright, concede game. I'm kind of out of things to do. That was a bit ridiculous. Let's bring in the Harvester. And take out, I think, the Flare and a Curator. Okay, we're here with round number, wait, no, this is still round number 4. Alright, I'm gonna use the Street Wraith here to see if I can hit a Surveillion. We cannot. I'll play the tap land. And sniping off a Dothy Voidwalker with this Harvester would be pretty gas. I'm not gonna lie. Nether Goyf isn't that scary. Not a big deal. I just need to turbo dig for a Cascade spell. I don't need to cycle, right? I don't need to use Harvester on Dothy Voidwalker yet because it's not dangerous until it's out of summoning sickness. Opponent Street Wraiths, and I do have Swamps on my deck. Something to be aware of. Alright. Opponent has Thoughtseize. They're going to take our Cascade spell. Do we win game 1? Is this game 2 or 3? I think this is game 3. I think we won game 1. It feels like so long ago. Oh no, it's 9:11 p.m. Everybody take your phones off of airplane mode. All right, after much thinking about which Cascade spell to take, our opponent takes the one Cascade spell in the hand. And they Thoughtseize again. They didn't even need to think that hard about the first one. And they take a Steam Core Scholar. That indicates to me they do not have a Dauthi Voidwalker, otherwise they'd probably take that Subtlety, or the Harvester. Overlord, not a bad consolation for not drawing a third land. Yes, use the ability. I'm going to take the Agent, even though I don't have a third land for it, because it puts that much pressure on them. I will not Subtlety a Dauthi Voidwalker. I might Subtlety another Netherglyph. If our opponent had Thoughtseize into Netherglyph, that card doesn't really matter. I mean, it stinks, but it's not advancing their cause. That might just be cope on my part. If I draw a Forest here, I can well, no, I can't. I can't ambush them with the Endurance, but I can at least keep this at bay. They can make it a 3/4 instant speed. And putting all these Thoughtseizes and Street Wraiths back on their deck would be pretty good. Boom, there's Misty. Cancel. Gonna get Breeding Pool here, take some damage, and play Steam Core Scholar. Is that the right thing to do? Yeah, I think it is. I think we have a little bit of time here. And I'd already committed to fetching. All right. I think I will discard Blue Flyer. Once again, I've got Harvester for their most threatening creature. And next turn I can start unloading just an endless torrent of endurances. Netherglyph doesn't have any relevant combat abilities. Oh no, 9/11. Guys, how many 9/11s can we get in this game? Well, we'll bin that. I was just thinking about how I could get more 9/11s involved in the game. We currently have 8 mana value. Okay. We're close. So what's the play? Do we just Shardless Agent and force them to Nile Spellbomb? In which case we have a Street Wraith versus 2/2 unless I pitch cast? No, that sounds terrible. Hopefully our opponent has amnesia and forgets about that endurance. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys hope that you just want to see wins, or do you want to see like super elite gameplay? Tell me what you think, really. Because you're definitely not getting the elite gameplay from me, but our opponent could still do it. I kind of can't believe they attacked into that. It can't be that easy. They can make Nile a 1-2. They go to 5. They, yeah. They dismember. These go to a 1-2, and then they can sacrifice and make them 2-3s again. Yeah, but now I can kind of go hamburgers. Unless they have another thought seize. Well, I'm not doing anything this turn. If I draw a land, I can harvester into Shardless Agent, which would be sweet. It would kill my Steam Core Scholars. But, I mean, that just is kind of even more cool. I need to get a better quality mic so you guys can listen to the crickets chirping from outside my window. Alright, the opponent has figured out how to use Nile Spellbomb. We take no damage. Go to our turn. Opponent could have Extirpate. It seems like they're holding up Extirpate, but on the off chance that they're not, I would like the upside of having two creatures in my graveyard. Play the Tomb. Shit Agent. And yeah, now if they Extirpate, they get a 4/4 instead of a 2/2. But like I said, this has the upside of getting both. And Extirpate's not a good spell here anyway. Yep. Oh well. I guess I'll just have to settle for drawing 2 cards. They could Surgical. If they Surgical, I think I would pitch Endurance because they're at 5. Nope. Alright, cool. Discard 2 cards. Goodbye, Foundation Breakers. I want this turtle. I like turtles. And our opponent might just scoop just barely before our mythic rare that cost 40 ticks has the opportunity to kill them. Tiny Bones is not a problem. We can Harvester of Misery it. I'll also just attack. And honestly, I could even Living End again here. No, that wouldn't be good. That would be terrible. All right, these have Escape. So I'm going to put a stop to that. This isn't like Magic Arena where it just shows you everybody's cards at all times. You have to remember what cards do in Magic Online. All right. They have Fatal Push. Good for them. And Overlord ticks up just in time to not deal lethal damage. All right. On to round number 5. Round number 5. This hand's not very good. I'm going to mulligan. That's much better. I'll keep that. And I'll put back Watery Grave. Start with the Mortuary. Overlord would be a sick draw here. I'm gonna graveyard that. We have enough lands. Now the question is, would I even subtlety a frog? Another Thoughtseize opponent. That's pretty good for us. I'm not gonna subtlety a Tamio if they play one. I will use the Street Wraith. I will use the Street Wraith. Okay. Hitting an Overlord there would have been sick, so I think it's worth it to expose those Street Wraith. Okay. I'd like to know what's on top. Guess I should have got Breeding Pool there. Not Breeding Pool, Hedge Maze. Do I want to bin Psychic Frog with Subtlety? No. That's too much card disadvantage for something I can chump block and then hopefully Living End away. No, not like that. Stupid deck. But stupid decks need the most attention. Discard matching. I mean, oh crap. Darn it. That was such a bad play. I mean, I guess now I can suspend a Living End. Oh my gosh. You know, if that happened in like game 1 of the match, I probably wouldn't even post the video. I'd probably just drop from the league. But that was such a bad play. Oh my gosh. That's game losing. Hopefully our opponent just stays mana hecked. Alright, there's a consolation prize. Do they have main deck consigned to memory? They discarded a Spell Snare, which is interesting because that's a blue card for Force of Negation. Like, I'm clearly Living End. So that indicates to me that they like don't even have Force of Negation, or they didn't at the time that they discarded it. Because unless you had, yeah, they just straight up counterspell. Because unless you had like an extra spell snare in your hand, why would you discard it? I mean, I guess it helps with Murktide, but you don't have to do it then. And maybe I should have stuck to my normal plan of just endurance versus these opponents. They give it flying. All right, they don't have Murktide. Not yet. No blockerinos. Frog. They discard another spell snare. Okay, that makes more sense. If they had 2 spell snares, I get it. So that's indicating that they really don't have Force of Negation, or they just don't care. Because they have another counter spell, maybe. We'll take the damage. Hedge Maze. I don't want Force of Negation. It's bad in this matchup. I'm glad I got to bin it. Alright, this is a 3-4. We can impend Overlord. Another Shardless Agent. That's really good. We already have an Endurance. Wait, yeah, we were going to get Shardless Agent no matter what. We already have an Endurance, so I don't need to take it. Okay, that took Magical 9 a minute. Yeah, I'll pay 2 life. Not going to miss out on this 2 damage. Gosh, my computer just really can't handle this program from the mid 1990s. Now I know it's not that old, but it feels like it is. I think Magic Online came out in like 2002-ish. Someone could correct me on that. Or I could just Google it. We live in a time and day where you can just answer your own questions with your phone in under 30 seconds. But it's more fun this way. Opponent has straight up counterspell. Alright. A little bit stinky. Now I'm dead in 2 hits from the frog. Opponent discards Abhorrent Oculus to their frog. Okay, what's the play here? I think it starts with Steam Core Scholar. I need to leave up 2 green. I will discard a matching. Boom, we did it. And going to start because he can just give the frog flying anyway. I can't leave back more than 1 blocker. It's not possible. So I'm going to start by attacking. Well, I have 2 options here. I could bank on Steam Core Scholar living, chump blocking, and then allowing me to cast Disciple of Freyalise next turn, and him not having a counterspell. My other plan is to play Disciple of Freyalise, play Endurance, also bank on him not having a counterspell. But at least if that happens, if that resolves, I have 2 chump blockers. If I play Disciple, I'm only going to gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. So the life gain is not really relevant because this frog is huge, potentially. If I go for Disciple, he has to have 1 piece of interaction to win the game, whereas if I do this, he has to have 2. Going to cast this now because that gives him the fewest cards to fight it with. He already has 3 mana, so he can cast all of his counter spells. And he would have Subtlety next turn. Alright. The inevitability clock ticks down. Oh, our opponent's playing Thought Scour. They know what the good blue instant cantrip is. I think Preordain is terrible in this deck. I don't think you should play it. There's people at my Friday Night Magic that play this almost exact deck and they put Preordain in it, and I think that's just a mistake. There's apparently some YouTuber that is playing blue-black frog with preordain in it, and it's good in that deck. But I'm telling you, YouTubers, if we get like 01, 02 in a league, we just drop and we don't post it because nobody watches those leagues. Although I haven't done that for many videos. The Dragons video was first take, as is this one. I did play some leagues with this deck, but I wasn't recording them. Okay, what's the play here? Honestly, I think the play is cast Generosent. I have Flare of Denial up no matter what. If they want to use a counterspell on Generosent, then I think that's good for me. And now I have two blockers. And one of them has keyword big. 5/7. How big can they make this? Opponent dismembers themselves. Hmm. Do I want to counter that, or do I want to counter their next play? If they care enough about this creature, because they could have saved Dismember for Generosent. You guys can tell me what you would have done, but I think if they care enough about this to do it, then I should care enough to counter it. Now, that could also just be putting Murktide Fuel in the graveyard. But they can't attack now. They could. So Frog is a 4. It could go up to a 7/8. So it looks like they have another Dismember. No, they just have Oculus, so they can... Okay. They wanted Oculus Fuel into the graveyard. And now they're getting a big board. If they ever hit us with any creature... Well, we have the food token, so it's not that bad. Okay. This guy has Super Duper Menace. What's better? Hold up food token? No, food token's irrelevant. I think we just cast the Heckin' Jonker. And this guy's basically just a bowling ball now that we throw at the opponent every turn. Overlord still ticking down. Can't miss this trigger on Magic Online. Is this game 1 or 2? I can't remember anymore. They have 2 flyers. And we're toast. Alright. Do they know that we're toast? They forgot. Oh, but that has flying anyway. Alright. They turned that up. I see. Okay. Graveyard matters to this opponent. So do I want Ashiok? It doesn't really do much. Especially in the face of like a resolved frog. Ashiok does nothing. I definitely want Awaken the Honored Dead. I'm not going to bring in Harbinger. I don't think Harvester of Misery is any good. I think Dismember is good. Would you ever cast Inevitable Betrayal to get their Oculus? I don't think so. But I don't want Force of Negation. So that leaves me with 2 spots. Oh, and I want Mystical. Mystical. Ashiok is coming back out. I don't want Halo Forager. I hate that card. Yeah, I think I'll do this. Although Halo Forger could be good against them because they put a bunch of cantrips in their graveyard. And this is a really good hand. We'll put that in the graveyard. Because turn 2 Overlord that has Suspend is okay, but just putting it straight into play from the graveyard is way better. Also, is this a glitch? Is this supposed to look like that? Shoot. Yeah, opponent can take our Overlord. They might take our Awaken, though, if they're planning on sticking a Frog. Awaken just kills everything. This is just a killbot from Futurama. If they had a preset kill, it would have won. Look for a third Overlord. Alright, we didn't get it. Hopefully they play Frog. Nah, they play nothing, but that's okay. Because I have Overlord. Man, if we hit a living in this game, our board's going to be sweet. They could just have Counterspell, though. Well, it would suck to be that guy. Alright. Can we play our land, please? Alright, we're back after the computer crash. I don't think I will be countering any of my opponent's creatures because Awaken handles them so well. Yeah, they have, at least it's just Graveyard Trespasser. That could have been so much worse. I think I'm going to Awaken that. Nope. Blue, black, green. Yeah, my clock's really low because my computer just totally crashed. Choose a card to discard. Subtlety. Goodbye, Subtlety. I can Endurance whatever he does here. He unearths. That's not very good for me, but this is still better than letting Graveyard Trespasser resolve. Or I just get a 2 for 2. Nice. Alright, it's just Graveyard Trespasser. It's not that big of a deal. Yet. See, Magic is a fair game where skill is rewarded. Alright. Does it resolve, please? Are your last 2 cards Force of Negation blue card? No, they are not. Oh, I didn't even get to draw my cards. Alright, game number 3. I think this looks pretty good, except I don't like Ashiok. I'm actually going to take Ashiok out and put Force of Negation back in because of the Unearth plan that he just showed me. I'll take Subtlety out for that. I'm glad we got to see Awaken the Honored Dead do its thing, because I think that card's underrated. I think it's way better than the instant Rakshas's Bargain. I think Honored Dead is just straight up better. They both pitch for the same amount of colors. Alright, and this hand's pretty good even against Thoughtseize, which our opponent did not have. Nice. Start with the tap land. And I'll graveyard that. There's an argument I should have kept that, because I didn't use Generous Hint. There's Psychic Frog. Well, I can do absolutely nothing about that. Overlord wasn't the best draw there. I still have this Generous, and I can go get a basic Forest too if our opponent plays Harbinger. I suppose I'll just get Endurance back. It's pretty good. And then what I can do next turn is just start Steam Core Scholaring and chump blocking the Frog. Thought Scour is a good one. Nothing too threatening in the graveyard though. Okay. I'm going to take 2 damage here and play Scholar. And I will discard Curator, I believe. Now here's the moment of truth. They could play Oculus here or Murktide Regent, and I have Subtlety for it, so I think we're good. I could pick up another blue card with Balemerk next turn. Hopefully. Yeah, if they want to get rid of their own graveyard for me, that's just fantastic. And as someone who played a good amount of Frogtide over the winter, like the worst thing that can happen is when your hand just gets full of frogs and Murktides, and you can't cast them. He's got Consign, but he's going to blow his Consign on that. I mean, I guess that's pretty good. That could have been a reason to use Endurance. Now you can hit me for 1. Rather chump the Oculus for a turn. Yeah, I guess I should have used Endurance there. I thought Subtlety was going to be good enough. Well, I'm kind of in desperation mode, so I'll take the 2 damage. Okay, that's reasonable. While he's tapped out... No, gosh darn it, I meant to cast it on the Abhorrent Oculus. Oh my gosh. Well, I can't spend all the mana. That was such a punt. I've done nothing but punt this match. I don't have any copies of Charlotte's Agent, so I'll get the draw spell. And now we just chump block. Gosh, I'm upset about that. I've been misclicking a lot recently. It doesn't help that my computer is an actual potato. Here comes everybody. Let's see what we're working with. Okay, that wasn't much use. That was bad if he plays Nile Spellbomb, but otherwise it doesn't really matter. Okay. Well, now I don't think I care about his graveyard because we're pretty much all in on drawing a Cascade spell next turn. And if we do, we can endurance at that time. This is bad. I'm dying with 2 cards in my hand that I could have spent. Yeah, and I actually think Sultai Living End is worse against Murktide. I can't really explain why. The matchup just feels way harder. Like I swear, I don't have this much problem with it with Bant. Well, now I'm just going to use my cards while I have them. Okay, we just need to rip an Overlord or Cycle Spell or Charlotte's Agent. That's an Endurance. That's not what I needed at all. Well, what a lousy way to end the league. Thanks for watching.